Hi, welcome to Franklin's Family Fun. Today we're going to show you how to do this rainbow weaving. So the first thing you're going to need is to make a semicircle so you can cut around a plate or something like that, and then you're just going to chop it out of some cardboard. So a nice thick cardboard is best for this, so like the kind of box that something comes in rather than a cereal box or something like that. So then you're going to make a little line in the centre and then some little lines going all the way around, and you want maybe 14 or 15 of them, something like that. Depends on how big your semicircle is really. And then you're going to slice in about 1 centimetre all the way around to make little notches, and that's what it looks like when it's done. And then you're going to need some sort of yarn or string or something to make the base that you're going to then do your weaving from. So I'm using this double knit yarn. It's got a bit of sparkle to it, which I thought might be nice for the rainbow. I might even use something a little bit thinner next time, maybe a 4-ply yarn or a piece of string or something like that, because as you get round to the end it does get quite thick. There you can see it doesn't go quite as fully into the centre with this double knit, but it still works. And then you're going to tie those starting tail and finishing tails together. So this is a great project to do with your children over the summer holidays. Get them away from screens and get them doing something with their hands. Crafts are something that they can make and then be proud of afterwards. So it's a great project to do together. So that's the basis. And then once you've got that, you're going to start to weave. So to weave you're going to need a darning needle. These are the ones that I like to use for children. They're plastic, they've got a really big eye and a blunt tip, so they're not going to hurt themselves, and they're nice and easy to thread. And you're going to need some yarn. So I'm using all the colours of the rainbow in this Rico Rumi, which is a double knit, and it's 100% cotton. So cotton's quite nice because it doesn't stretch quite so much, but obviously you can use any colours that you like and any number of colours that you like. I'm going to start with the red because I'm making a traditional rainbow, and I've cut out maybe 1.5 meters of yarn, and then I'm going to thread that onto my darning needle. The big eye does make it really easy. And then for weaving you're going to go under, over, under, over, under, over, like that. Yeah, so it's a really nice easy thing to do for small hands. Children like repetitive tasks, things that they can do over and over again that aren't too tricky, so this is a great one to do with young children. You're going to need a long tail left, about 10 centimeters of tail dangling off the end, and then you're going to work all the way around going under, over, under, over, under, over with your darning needle. And if you make a mistake and you go over, over, under, it's really not the end of the world. So try and pull it nice and tight to start with, and then you're going to go back. So I've gone underneath this one, so the next time I'm going to go over it. Yeah, so you're doing the opposite for the next row. Yeah, so if I've gone under before, I now go over. Pull that, but again you need to leave a tail, same sort of length as the first tail, and then pull that taut, and then just keep on working your way around. Like I say, it's nice and easy. You can do it while sitting in the garden, enjoying all of this sunshine we've been getting. Yeah, so you're going to go backwards and forwards. You want maybe 4 or 5 rows of the red, kind of whatever feels good to you, or otherwise when your child wants to move on to the next colour, which is also a good indication as well. There we go, so that's your red. Lovely. And then what you can do is trim those straight-ish. Yep. And then you just continue doing the same thing with your other colours. So I'm going to take my orange, and again I've gone over the last one, so this one I'm going to go under. So just the same as before, leave a long tail, and then you just keep working backwards and forwards about 4 or 5 rows of each colour all the way around. Honestly, it really couldn't be easier. So now I'm on my yellow, and it starts to look really cute. So if you're not sure as you go up, I tend to do kind of loop it around to see what one semicircle would be in terms of length, and then times that by about 5 or 6 to get the length of my starting piece of yarn. And now I'm on my violet, and it's all done. Doesn't it look cute? So to tidy up, I'm going to pull my strands down and then trim along with a pair of nice sharp scissors. And then same thing on the other side. And then you need to take it off its board, so you're then going to snip the ends here. So you don't want to work all the way up to the very, very edge, or you're not going to have enough length to be able to tie them together. Yeah, so undo them all and then just peel it off the board. When you take it off this central bit, you need to pinch the yarns between your thumb and your finger so that you hold it tight so it doesn't pull them out. There we go. So then to tidy it up, you can tie these two together. Obviously if you want to, you can just leave it on the cardboard, that looks quite cute as well. But if you want it tidy, then you go along and you tie each of the yarns together, top and bottom. And then again, you can chop them off if you want to, or if you want to even tidier, you can weave them in. So if you're a knitter or a crocheter, you'll be familiar with this anyway, but you turn your work so the back of it's facing you. You pop your darning needle down in between the kind of fibres of the yarn, so it's going down the middle, and then you just thread your yarn onto the needle and you pull the tail down and bury it in the yarn. And then we do the same with the other tail because they were both tied together. And again, you get that end, thread it in, pull it through, and then chop the ends off. So you keep doing that all the way around, tidy it all off. And there we go. That's it all finished. So it's entirely up to you. If you want to, you can tie all of your rainbow threads together as well, but you don't need to, they're not going anywhere. I like to just leave it as it is. Now if you want to really tidy it up, down at the bottom there where you have the white thread that you started with, you can crochet a little cloud like this and then just sew it on, which looks really sweet as well. So if you want the pattern for the cloud, we can pop it in the comments, but it's pretty simple to make. If you're a crocheter, you can probably just make it up. But there we go. Then you just need some sort of tie so that you can hang it. So I'm going to come back to my board. I'm going to take my white yarn and I'm going to measure out 3 lengths. They're maybe 60 centimeters long, and then I'm going to tie them all together at the top, pop them into that little slit in my board, put a weight on the end, and then I'm just going to plait them together. There we go. And then once you've made your plait, you're going to pop it onto your darning needle and just thread it through your rainbow. Try and get it kind of central, and then tie a knot. And then pull those 2 ends up together and tie those into a knot as well. Try and make sure it stays even, give it a good pull so it's nice and tight. And then if you take your scissors again and chop the original knots off, you can kind of make it look a bit fringier at the top, which looks quite nice. So just kind of undo the plait a little bit. And there we go. You're all done. So hopefully that was an enjoyable thing that you can do together. It looks really sweet. You can use any kind of colours that you like. You can make them bigger or smaller depending on your starting semicircle size. There we go. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.